This is your RJ, and welcome to another episode of The Bot Signal. Today, we're not really talking very much about bots. You see, I know this. I know that everyone else's life is not just made up of chatbots. My life, yes, but in every entrepreneur's life, there's those big decisions. Which platform do I devote my time to? What's going to be worth it for me? And what do I need to be doing on that platform? So I met a friend of a friend at first, but he's my friend now. Please help me welcome Yakov Smart. That last name doesn't lie. Welcome, Yakov.
Hey, so good to be here.
Yakov has many talents in LinkedIn. Now, I know what LinkedIn looks like. I at one point when I was doing a lot of networking meetings, it was, it became a place that I checked on the regular, but it's never really been a place that I have planted a flag and explored. So I'm going to be learning right along with all of you as to, what's going on here, what this is, and what we can do. So first off, Yakov, I'm going to back up a little bit. And I'm going to ask you, about your history. Where do you come to us from? What made you so interested in LinkedIn?
That's a great question. So I'm going to start in a little bit of an unusual place, RJ. I'm actually going to start back in the 8th grade.
Sweet.
8th grade. Do you remember how old that is?
8th grade. It's like 12 or 13?
Yeah, like 12, 13, 14 years old. So I was in the 8th grade, and that's when I got my start on social media. I started on a little thing called, 8th grade. I started on a little thing called MySpace.com.
Yeah, baby.
You have a MySpace, RJ?
I did. Tom was my only friend. I didn't really do much with it, but I had one.
Okay. Well, I did a lot with MySpace because it was my first social media. It was my first way to connect with people and get people to like me. And it was also something that I wasn't using for generating leads. I was using it for something a little bit more complicated. And that was hitting on girls.
Well, very good, sir. All right, then. Continue.
That's what I was using MySpace for. And where I really got my start, and what really fascinated me about technology too, is I saw it as an opportunity to connect with and meet people. And I came to the US, as people may be able to tell from my name, at an early age from a country called Lithuania. I was about 18 months old, came to the US, and growing up, we didn't have a whole lot. We weren't like dirt poor, but we didn't have a whole lot. So I always knew, I always had this ambition and aspiration that I wanted to be in business for myself. And you might have been the same way, or it might have just grown on you, but that bug was something I can always remember. I always had that ambition within me. And so when I started to, get into the college, right? Because I did go to college. I went to a school called Georgia Southern University. It was about 4 hours south of Atlanta. And no, I don't have a Southern accent. A lot of people will say, well, how do you not have a Southern accent? I just don't, right? So when I went there, I heard about LinkedIn. And to me, it seemed a little bit intimidating. It seemed a little bit far-fetched. Yet at the same time, I was so fascinated to see how many people were willing to connect with me as a college student all around the country and really all around the world, who were these high-level people, these executives, business owners, these high-level people who are willing to connect with me, who are now in my network because of LinkedIn. And I started to see it as a tool. And then what took me into LinkedIn as a marketing platform was really necessity. That's what it was. So I was out living in Vegas, doing my thing, living the dream out there, and I was selling software. And it was my job to do something very much taxing and demanding, and I'll even give you a technical term for it, smile and dial. That's what I did. That's what my day consisted of. So it takes somebody to actually go through it to know what it was like. But I would spend the day, I worked from home, so I'd spend the day between 8 a.m. to about 5 p.m. every day, picking up the phone, smiling and dialing again and again and again, and getting rejected again and again and again. It was driving me crazy. So I picked up LinkedIn out of necessity. I had an aha moment one day, and I recognized that if I could use LinkedIn to grow my network for other things, I had some other projects, other podcasts, things like that. But if I could use it for that, what if I used it for prospecting, which is where I started to make connections to decision makers on LinkedIn. And I just found it to be a more effective way than cold calling. And at around the same time, I was out going to those networking events you mentioned in Vegas, and I would nonchalantly mention some of the success that I was having on LinkedIn. And business owners would look at me kind of funny, and they would say to me, hey, I've had this LinkedIn profile for years. It just kind of sits there like a resume platform. You mean to tell me I can actually use it to get new business? I said, well, if I'm doing it, let me show you how. And so I started taking on clients, turning it into a business out of necessity. And I've been building this ever since. And now I'm here out in Scottsdale, Arizona. I've certainly come a long way. Wrote a book a little while ago called Disrupting LinkedIn, which is a guide to a new way of using LinkedIn to generate leads and get clients. And these days, whether it's putting on events or working with people individually or really giving them systems and processes, it's about giving business owners a new way of using LinkedIn to attract clients consistently and put themselves out there in a way that positions them as that authority that they want to be.
That's very, very interesting to me because I know there's a treasure trove of information on LinkedIn. I absolutely know that. What I, just as a small business owner, the questions that I have are, how do you connect? When's right to connect? What's the protocol? And is it, because I've heard so many things about LinkedIn, and I'm sure you've heard these things too. Is it just, a platform for HR people? That's what I was told the first few years that it was going on. A lot of people just have these one sentence explanations, but I think that LinkedIn is one of for those that use it, they absolutely love it. And most people don't consider it that much of a social platform. What do you find when you're talking to people out there in LinkedIn? What are some of the greatest misconceptions that people have?
Oh, there's a lot. The first one is the one that you just mentioned about it being only a resume platform. And the truth of the matter is this: if you're a business owner or you're wanting to use LinkedIn as a marketing or prospecting tool, you can reach your audience directly on LinkedIn, completely get past the decision makers and reach them right on this device, reach them right on the cell phone that's right in their pocket and start building a relationship immediately. That's the flat out biggest misconception. I don't care if your audience is affluent. I don't care if they're hard to reach. I don't care if they're a sub niche or subculture based on an interest. You can reach those people directly, or worst case, you can reach people who have access to thousands of the people that you want to reach, potential referral sources. So you can get so much out of LinkedIn. You just need a system in place and be able to work the system. That's what it comes down to. Some other big misconceptions: a lot of people think they need to have a premium account to do anything on LinkedIn. And the reality is this: the premium account is more or less like the cherry on top. Okay, so think about, you're eating your favorite ice cream sundae. You've got hot fudge, you've got vanilla, you've got sprinkles, maybe little marshmallows on top, whatever you enjoy in your ice cream sundae. And then, of course, you have the cherry on top. So if you just bit into the cherry, it wouldn't taste like an ice cream sundae. It would taste like a cherry, which is the mistake a lot of people make with premium accounts on LinkedIn. They'll go and they'll get a premium account, and they'll expect to have bought the cherry to all of a sudden reap the benefits of the ice cream sundae, and it doesn't do much for them. So you don't necessarily need a premium account to succeed on LinkedIn. It certainly helps once you have your foundation in place. But what it comes down to is, again, having that system in place. Then the premium account is like the next tool. It's the next level for the advanced strategies. And it functions very much almost like its own CRM, really powerful tool. I personally have the Sales Navigator account. That's the one I'd recommend for people if they're going to go and get a premium account. And then the third biggest misconception that I hear about on LinkedIn, because we're all busy as business owners, we're all really busy people. Nobody seems to have time these days. So a lot of people think the more time they put into LinkedIn, the better results they're going to get. And that's completely and utterly false, completely false. Because what it comes down to really is having intention, starting with the outcome in mind. And what if I told you that by spending 15 to 30 minutes a day, you could start to get clients or referrals on LinkedIn consistently? That's what it comes down to. It's just about knowing exactly what the key items are and putting your intention on those things, rather than thinking that you have to spend a ton of time on the platform to get a lot out of it, which you don't. And plus, you can automate a lot of it as well, which I know you and I love automation.
We do. We just do. Some of the automation that's currently on LinkedIn, a lot of the this person just got a new job, say congratulations. Those that sort of automated messaging is turning people off. And like that's one of the things that strikes me is that, when I message people, I never use the generic one. I always word something up because people know exactly what you did, that you went and you clicked this button, and that was the effort that you made today. But you're talking about just disrupting the system. Tell me without giving away all the goodies, obviously. And if you want, put your link to your book down here in the comments so that so that folks can go check it out. In what way would you like to disrupt? How are you thinking about that?
Well, you made such a good point. Like everybody, not everybody, but some people say, oh, somebody has an anniversary, I'm going to click the button, or happy birthday. You click the button. And like for me, it always makes me laugh because my birthday is on Christmas Day. So I get like the week after, I get a ton of happy birthdays, and I just know somebody clicked that button. If somebody had said happy birthday and commented to the fact of, hey, it's funny that your birthday is on this day, it would have been a completely different experience. I would have actually paid attention and wanted to know who that person was. But when I see all these happy birthdays through LinkedIn messages, I know somebody clicked a button. So it's doing things a little bit differently. It's thinking how you can personalize things a little bit more. And that doesn't mean that you necessarily have to manually do things. What that does entail, though, is having a little bit more of a process, having a little bit more of a step-by-step strategy, and doing things that stand out. You want to interrupt people's patterns, if you will. So if people are used to, getting these annoying notifications, you want to do it a little bit differently. Maybe that's sending them an email to wish them a happy birthday instead, that's personalized and has a little joke or a card, right? I'm just giving you a very ground level example. But in terms of disrupting LinkedIn, it comes down to a number of different things. It comes down to knowing who you're talking to, not being afraid to repel some people to attract the ones who you want to get to, and being willing to offer people what they want, to put an offer out on the table. I'm not saying that you're going to go and try and sell them something or pitch them something in the messages. What I am saying, though, is being able to put something out there that's going to get them to raise their hand and show that they're interested.
Oh, absolutely. And so, you said before, you can't be afraid to repel people. My vision of who is on LinkedIn, if I were to close my eyes and think about it, is a whole lot of people in suits, not too many people wearing a cape. You know what I'm saying? What kind of diversity of groups and people and subgroups do you have on LinkedIn? Is it everybody on there? Or, what kind of demographic are you looking at?
Well, you'd be surprised because people are there in different capacities. So I think there are some people who like to wear capes on LinkedIn. Now, they may not be the most active users. They may be. You'd be surprised. People are spending more and more time on LinkedIn. There's over 600 million users across the world. So you're going to get a really wide variety. There's about 130 million accounts here in the US. And what I love about LinkedIn is the average household income is about $115,000. The people on LinkedIn tend to be more affluent. They tend to be decision makers, tend to be a little bit more serious and business oriented. But at the same time, what's fascinating is you have people that aren't suits. You have yoga instructors. You have these different types of people, healers, coaches, different types of people. I'll give you an example. I had a client, and he was wanting to fill events, and he did qigong. That was his business. And so we built lists of people who were in alternative medicine, who cared about wellness. And sometimes we saw the overlap in the suits, but other times it was these health-minded people as well. So pretty much anybody you want to reach is on LinkedIn. And there's just so many different types of people there. And what's great about LinkedIn as well is user activity is just up, up, up. So in the last quarter alone, user activity was up by, I believe, 33%. And this is according to LinkedIn. And what's also really crazy about it, too, is Microsoft bought LinkedIn a few years ago for $26.2 billion.
Yeah.
And since buying LinkedIn, they've completely revamped it to where now it's more user friendly. They want more people spending more time so that they can sell more advertising. So you're seeing a lot more diversity on LinkedIn. It's not just suits anymore. And even a lot of the suits who are on LinkedIn, they still want to be entertained. They want something that's a little bit different.
Well, it sounds like I need to start using LinkedIn Yakov, is what it sounds like. That's fascinating. You know, one of the really fascinating things about LinkedIn for me is that a way long time ago in a land far, far from here, I used to work for a company that sold information information about people and it was all, you know, it was all publicly gleaned or whatever, but it was email addresses, you know, certain demographics, name, phone number, all of that kind of stuff. It was basically salespeople would come on and download a list, and generally by the time they worked the list, 70% of it was bad information. um LinkedIn, people are self-interested in keeping that information correct. You're not going to find that anywhere else. And that to me is an incredibly powerful tool. Then, if we have people that are updating and people, you know, there's some empty profiles out there, but a lot of people who are on there are very interested in engaging in keeping that information current, which saves you a lot of time. I think. Um, Excellent. So what makes you passionate about LinkedIn?
Well, it's still a gold mine. It's still an untapped opportunity for a lot of people. And what's really fascinating is a lot of people are still talking about Facebook, and everybody wants to figure out Facebook ads and all these different things and all these different gimmicks. Well, when you look at strategically, when you start to think about LinkedIn, you start to look at the opportunities there, you start to notice the types of people that are there, how accurate the data is. It's a major way to start to connect with your ideal clients, to start to build relationships with the people that are going to move your business to the next level. And I like to talk about A-listers. I like to talk about how in every business there are these people who, yeah, you know, you have your average client, but I believe most of your revenue and most of your growth is going to come from either A-lister clients, the people that pay the most, usually complain the least, and are the best people to work with. And then there's the strategic partners, who are the A-listers, who have entire list of people that are some of your best clients. These people have already been vetted and they already have a relationship. So if you can tap into just a few of these A-lister relationships every month from LinkedIn, it can absolutely be a game changer for just about any type of business. And yet, so many people are still a little bit intimidated by LinkedIn and aren't using it to the fullest. And so much of what's out there, because there are a lot of LinkedIn lead gen, quote unquote, people out there talking about it. You know, there's some of that. But what it comes down to is a lot of that is gimmicky, one size fits all. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about something here that's strategic, that's proven to work, that actually makes an impact in a business. And I'm passionate about giving people tools for activating that inside of their business rather than some gimmick where they go and they scrub a list and they send a ton of spam messages. That's not the most effective way to do it.
It's the least effective way to do it, I think, is, you know, and all of the spam messages, I absolutely get it. It's all of the get rich quick stuff. All of that is so based on mass production of something and one size fits all, or one size should fits all, you know, that kind of mentality. But what you're talking about is the opposite. It sounds very personal and reaching out oriented. So can you give any examples of, you know, how small business owners can start using this tool?
Yeah, and when I say it's personal too, I'm not talking about, because some people hear that and they say, well, it's a lot of manual labor and I just don't have time. I'm not necessarily talking about doing everything manually at all. I love automation, I love systems, processes, and having what I call a LinkedIn marketing department. That's what everybody should strive for. What if you could have a marketing department that functions through LinkedIn, that helps you get exposure, that builds your brand, that generates leads for you, and it ultimately leads to new sales. That's really the vision that people should have for their LinkedIn, and that's really the possibility. Now, in terms of examples, right, we're talking about different content. We're talking about multi-step messaging. We're talking about getting people to raise their hands. So, I could give a number of different examples. It depends on the business. And RJ, I mean, let me ask you: are most of the people watching this, are they coaches, consultants? I mean, I want to make it really a relevant example here, because there's a lot of different ones I could give.
Most of the folks watching today are entrepreneurs, some coaches, authors, coaches, and speakers. Those are a lot of my clients.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we have folks that have been clients before and all of that. So I'd say entrepreneurs first, but the real main is authors, speakers, entrepreneurs. Yeah, coaches.
Yeah. Okay. And I know we have a chat here too. So if it's all right with you, RJ, if somebody wants to chime in and tell us the name of their business, we can do a quick example just off the cuff. So if you're in the chat box right now, just comment, tell us who you are, name of your business, type of people that you might want to reach on LinkedIn. We can do a live example. I think that'd be a really neat thing.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
It'd be just great. Awesome. And you were talking about Facebook earlier. Do you find that there's a wave of people moving from Facebook to LinkedIn?
I think most people are on both. I think a lot of people won't talk business on Facebook anymore. They're just so inundated with ads that they don't want to have those conversations on Facebook. And I have several clients that just say, well, if I'm gonna use social media, I'm gonna use LinkedIn. And these are serious business people who actually have money to spend, which is the types of people that we want to work with. So I think a lot of people have become a little bit disgusted by the way Facebook's handling privacy and all these different things. It's become an issue where, especially a lot of millennials, just aren't on Facebook anymore. Whereas on LinkedIn, we're talking about everybody wants to be there, and you can start to build that relationship as more of a trusted advisor. So I think the timing is very fortuitous, and LinkedIn tends to be a place where there's a lot less saturation right now. Well, there's some saturation, but when it comes to the right marketing, that actually works, there's a lot less saturation on LinkedIn than there might be on Facebook. So it can be very advantageous. And we'll jump right into an example, if that's all right with you. So we have Teresa, and Teresa, forgive me, I may not be pronouncing your last name the right way. So, but it looks Polish to me, so I like a nice Polish last name. So Teresa, the Creative Campus, I work with parents and caregivers of kids under the age of 10, right? So that's fascinating, Teresa, because obviously those kids are not on LinkedIn, right? Surprise, surprise. So we think about what's the strategy there, right? And I have somebody who's a personal friend of mine, and his business is similar. He does homeschooling, and they have this whole program called the Einstein Blueprint, which I think is, as an aside, just a really fascinating thing. And he's done really well with his kids, and just giving him a plug on that because I think it's fascinating. But the similarity, what he's done is he's out in the New York City area. And so a lot of his best clients are affluent parents. Okay. And Teresa, I would imagine affluent parents would be good for people for you to work with as well. So I would look at the people in that market who fit a certain age group. Maybe, they're in their 30s, 40s, those types of professionals, and to start reaching out to them and build a community around the issues that they care about when it comes to their children, right? And be very clear that the community is for parents who want X, Y, and Z, and also want to network professionally, right? So you can make it a little bit of a hybrid. And then obviously you're catapulting your positioning as the authority when you create a group like that. And then the other thing that I'd recommend you do, Teresa, is just make sure that your profile really speaks to that ideal client, to that parent or caregiver perfect, so homeschooler. So this is right up your alley there, perfect. So just make sure it speaks right to them. Understanding what the benefit is and why it's unique from what they may already be using. And if you enter that conversation that's happening right in their minds, that's really going to give you the quickest results. So make sure your profile, again, positions you as that authority piece too. And that's going to be a really good foundation for you. But those caregivers and parents are absolutely on LinkedIn. And you may not know right away that they're parents, but if you pinpoint an age group and a profession, you want to get people to self-select and raise their hand that it's something that they're interested in.
Beautiful. Very good. Yeah, I've worked with Teresa on her bot for the Creative Campus, and so it's good to hear. I mean, it just puts things in a whole new light. You know, when you're talking about positioning on LinkedIn. Can we go to Stacy Bryuka as well?
Okay, Stacy Bryuka, technology. Oops, the chat disappeared for me. That's strange.
Oh,
I have it literally just it's switched over to private chat. Okay, so it's on the screen now.
yeah.
Okay, perfect. You make life so easy. I love it. So, Stacy Bryuka, technology productivity coach, would like to reach early entrepreneurs who want to leverage automation to shift small tasks to free up their time, which is everybody, right? Everybody wants to have more time in the day, especially the people that are frustrated. And I've been there before. So I would say you start with their frustration, right? You know, in the resources you're offering, in the way you're positioning yourself, you speak to that frustration and you start to show them maybe they know that there's some automation, but you're somebody that you can do a lot of the work for them in saying, hey, you know, and I'm not sure how your services work or what your model is, but just like having that light bulb moment go off where they realize, oh, shoot, I have a problem. I need to do something about time management or I'm going to be stuck in this place. Okay. So I would focus on that in your profile copy and the way that you position yourself, your headline, your summary, your messaging, and then offer them something right when they connect with you. It's all right to make an offer. You don't have to offer them a strategy session necessarily, but say, hey, you know, I've got this free resource that has these tools, or you know, we've got something that's available. Would you like one? Would you like a copy? And start that conversation. Get them to raise their hand, and that they can relate, and then that leads to a further discovery of what they'd be interested in. But for everybody, you know, regardless of what business you're in, and you know, we've got Stacy and we've got Teresa and we've got some other people who are on live. I'm going to give you the spot formula for being able to do this. This is as formulaic as we can get on this call right now because it applies to just about any type of business on LinkedIn. The S, you want to start with your list. Okay, so a lot of your success is going to be determined by the quality of the people you're reaching. If you're not reaching the right who's, then you can have the best messaging in the world. It's not going to work as well. Okay, so you start with your list. Build, like Stacy, you're looking for early entrepreneurs, so you want to go by company size. If I were you, I'd look at different niches on LinkedIn that are going to have an interest in this, right? Or better yet, who are like some of the people that you already work with. That's usually a good starting point. The P is positioning yourself to play the part, like we talked about with your profile. The O is offering them what they want. And that's starting the conversation. Hey, you connect with them. Now you're offering them something that's of value, that's free, really easy thing to say yes to. And then the T is figuring out how to strategically transition the relationship into either a strategy session or into them buying through your link or whatever the next step is for them. And also, I want to encourage you to work backwards from the offer and start to really reverse engineer that.
Nice. That's the spot. I like that a lot. Um, and you said that people often kind of assume that this is a heavily manual process. And you've also mentioned that there are ways to automate parts of this. Would you like to go into that?
Yeah, and there's two types of automation. There's the robot artificial intelligence automation, which you and I both really enjoy. Yep.
Yes.
And then there's the human automation. And I say that in the sense that if you give somebody a script or a template, okay, and you have them implement it for you, that's the human automation component. Also, if you're looking at, you know, you want to keep your metrics. It's all about the numbers. So you want somebody ultimately doing that for you and knowing what metrics are going to be your success indicators. And what I like to do when I work with clients too is if somebody's having an issue or, you know, we're not quite getting the results we're looking for, you know, you can take a look at the metrics and they tell the story. Okay. That's what it comes down to. So those are the key things to have in place, both the automation and the human automation. Different tools, I mean, there's a plethora of them. Somebody can look them up, but I would caution you against having like a Chrome extension. Those things get flagged on LinkedIn. So if you're going to use an automation tool, just make sure that it's cloud-based That's my big word of caution. And again, some are better than others. They change sporadically as well. So just do your due diligence. I wouldn't recommend a certain tool on a live stream like this one, but I would say definitely do your due diligence and know. And also, if you're going to do any sort of automation, don't get carried away. You know, if you start sending 500 connection requests or messages a day, you're not setting yourself up to be in a good place. So just proceed with caution, do your due diligence, and understand that you need a combination of both robot automation and also human automation.
Yeah. That actually somebody had sent me a LinkedIn tool. I think it was late last year, and they were like, "Hey, does this work like your bot works?" That's the question that everybody has for me. And so I was looking at it. It looked pretty good. Looked like it was. Look, I mean, I had some good thoughts about it, but then I read, and this is something, audience, that you'll hardly ever read, but this is part of due diligence when you're checking out a tool. I read the terms and conditions, and I read that, that this, I read a whole lot of statements that this was experimental. I read a whole lot of statements that if this software caused you any trouble, it's completely your responsibility, that they have no responsibility if you use this tool. And I'm like, that kind of made me think, stay away from that one a little bit. And then I was reading in some articles how it was, they made it go away because it was doing bad things. So when we say do your due diligence, get the caffeinated beverage. It must be warm, and there must be a lot of it. And read through your terms and conditions, because there are some important things there. Everything you read before that is marketing language. And everything you read after the terms and conditions, that's it's important stuff, even if it is just a tiny bit boring. That's my soapbox. That's my rants about terms and conditions. Very good. I mean, it's such great stuff. So really, to be successful, having a system, having criteria for the reach out, having maybe some set stuff to reach out with. That is really interesting. I've never thought about LinkedIn this way, because again, I think of LinkedIn and I see a lot of suits and I think I probably don't fit in there. And, I just never really thought about it. I did apply because LinkedIn is doing live video now, which, hello. I thought it was going to be a while before LinkedIn adopted that, but here they are. They've got it going on. Which is awesome. I applied, haven't been accepted yet, but someday I'm going to get on there as well. But what an interesting foresight. Yeah. What do you think people's fears are? I think that here's a fear I've heard, and then we'll get to, some fears that you've heard. One of the fears that I've heard are, since it's a business platform, people are much, much more afraid to put one foot forward because they might step on the wrong place. They might do the wrong thing. They might appear badly. And when it's in person, when it's on Facebook, that's one thing. Nobody cares about it 3 seconds later, unless it's really serious. But when you are representing your business and you put a wrong foot forward, that could be stuff down the line. Is that a fear that you've heard people have?
I think that fear comes around different types of marketing too, not just LinkedIn, because putting yourself out there, people are even like something like being on video. What if I look stupid? Or what if I look mean, right? So I think we all have those internal voices and those things, especially when something is new. And I think the easiest way around that, what I personally do, is to find somebody that knows what they're talking about, to see what's working and to model it. There's two ways to do it, right? You can model what's working and actually implement something, or you can guess and procrastinate, I think. So I would choose the first way, and I'd recommend the first way for everybody as well. And then, yeah, the fact it is a business platform, but there's a lot of people making idiots of themselves on LinkedIn. I want to be completely clear that I see it all the time. So, I mean, there is, trust me, it's not like everybody is this perfect person who's got their stuff together. That's just not the case. We're all humans, okay? So, if you're gonna think about LinkedIn, you want to think about the upside, right? Of the people that you want to reach, how to use it to grow your business. And if it seems a little bit far-fetched, if it seems a little bit intimidating, it's because you lack clarity on the strategy, or more importantly, what are the things that you need to do specifically? So I'd recommend that you go out, you get the clarity, and listen. Something is better than nothing. Even if you're not going to do everything immediately, if you just take the first step, and if you just took some time today on LinkedIn and started to look at your profile or started to think about who you wanted to reach on LinkedIn, or what outcome you would want to get on LinkedIn. If you just started to take those steps, you'd move yourself in the right direction. So that's what I recommend for people. And obviously, it's a big window of opportunity right now because it's changed so much. Sooner rather than later, everybody's going to just like saturate it, like Facebook ads are, for instance. Whereas now you have an opportunity to be a little bit early, right? And you and I like technology. We like doing things early. That's what it's like on LinkedIn right now. It's just a matter of having that courage and boldness of putting yourself out there, and also understanding, and I'm going to just be very blunt about this, there is an opportunity cost of doing nothing, right? So if you do nothing or you wait to be perfect with your LinkedIn strategy, and if you don't pick it up until much later, by the time you get there, that's X amount of conversations, X amount of leads, X amount of clients, X amount of dollars and experiences that you could have missed. So that opportunity cost is really costly as well. I just encourage people just to do something there, and you'll find that you're gonna be able to get to exactly where you're looking for. It just oftentimes starts by taking that first step.
Yeah. Well, it is the first step, right? And to me, the times that I've kind of struggled with maybe, okay, maybe should I get into this? Should I not get into this? I'll get to the place where I look at my profile. I'll make sure everything on it is cool and good, attracting the right people. But I fail at the step where it's the reach out. It's that point where I go, ooh, I'm scared. Maybe this isn't for me. I'll tackle this another day. Boop, close the window. I'll be back in a few years is what I really mean by that. But you're talking about opportunities that exist right now. For instance, I didn't know that stat. I didn't know that a lot of the people on LinkedIn are the decision makers, are the people that, make a relatively high income. The movers and shakers of the world, we'll say. If that's your audience, you got to be on it. I used to do, long time ago, used to do social media for people. I would do all the channels for people. But lately, what I've come to realize is that's not the best way to go. The very best way to go is figure out where your audience is at, aim at 2 or 3 channels, and hire people that know what they're doing. Don't spend 6 months guessing and developing a strategy, because in 6 months, the platform will have changed. True for LinkedIn, true for everyone. And so hiring somebody who has their stuff has their eyeballs in there every day, that's worth it. For me, that is absolutely worth it. You do have an event coming up, do you not? It's coming up soon.
Yeah, it's coming up real soon. It's going to be here in Scottsdale, where I live. I know we have people from all over the country, and it's coming up next Friday. So but oftentimes, some of the best events I've been to were a last minute decision to go. I didn't know. And I remember flying to Orlando for an event when I lived in Vegas and literally deciding the week before. So there's a will, there's a way. So if people want to find out more about that event, what they can do is they can just email me directly with event in the subject line, and that's Yakov@linkleads.us. Maybe we could put that in the chat box and do that. And if people are also interested in just improving their LinkedIn profile and taking that first step towards getting where they want to on LinkedIn, we can give them a link, RJ, linkedleads.us/quiz. I've got a free quiz for you and a cheat sheet on making your LinkedIn profile starting to appear irresistible. So those are a couple things people can do. And I urge you, if you're on this webcast live right now, just to make sure that you're at least taking that next immediate step, because there's such a big opportunity on LinkedIn. You definitely don't want to miss it.
You don't want to miss it. If your people are there, you need to be there too, and you need to shine.
Yeah.
So I am finding our broadcast right now and dumping those links in so that people have an opportunity to engage with you there. But Liz is also watching, and
Wow.
she is dumping leads in, and she's dumping links in there too. Okay, thank you, Liz. I love you. Okay, Jane's here. Yakov is smart. He's the real deal when it comes to LinkedIn. I really feel that. I mean, the first time that I met you, it was like, look, there's a treasure trove of information that most of us don't take any advantage of because we've got a certain impression of LinkedIn that maybe was made years ago. I remember I heard about LinkedIn before I heard about Facebook. Do you believe that? That was like in '08, I think it was. I
Wow.
was in a graduate school class and this lady was talking about it and she's like, and we could all link together. It was like, ooh, that was before Facebook got to Nebraska, which is where I live. Anyway, so it may have been an impression that you got years and years ago. It may have been some experience that you've had when you were guessing or, just kind of trying to lead yourself by the nose. It's good to know people who really are experts at what they do. Yakov is one of those people. So I urge you, check his quiz out. Check that event out. Scottsdale is beautiful this time of year. And you the opportunity cost of missing out on one of these things could potentially be huge for you. And I don't want any of my people to miss it. And that's why we are on today. You will see more of Yakov because he is a person after my own heart. And you'll see him on the show again. But if you're considering it at all, live events are the stuff. If somebody packed up a bag and went to your live event, Yakov, would they have a chance to shake your hand?
Absolutely.
Yeah, beautiful.
They would have a chance to shake my hand, ask questions, and get started in the right direction because it's going to be called your LinkedIn Marketing Department Discovery Day. So they're going to discover how to turn LinkedIn into their personal marketing department without having to hire an entire team. That's going to be what the day is all about. So I highly encourage people to at least find out more about the event, at least get the quiz. And like you said, there's an opportunity cost of doing nothing, which is unfortunately what a lot of people do. But when I urge people here to be on the forefront and just figure out what the next steps are for them that are going to move the needle for their business.
Beautiful. Well, Yakov, I want to thank you for coming on today and being with my people and educating us a little bit about what some of the social media out there looks like, educating us about LinkedIn, who's on there, how to start, which is, once again, after this show, open up that profile, look at what needs polishing, and start to think about who you want to contact. That'll get you started in the right direction. Then, of course, hop on that quiz, check out the event, learn more. You will see Yakov again, my friends. Also, hey, if you're interested in a free bot strategy, text bot to 555-888 and you will get a link back that will hop you right into my bot. Spinning Dragon will ask you a couple of questions and spit you out a bot strategy and then ask you if you want to be on my calendar. Gasp. I know you do. You want to hang out with me for a half an hour and talk about bots. It's a real good time, I promise. And with that, I am going to say we are going to sign off and get on out of here for the day. You'll see me again on Thursday. Topic? I don't know. I'm going to make it up on the fly, right? We'll probably talk about True Chat a little bit in some stuff that they've got coming out, which is really fascinating. And that's it. Thank you for being around today. Thank you, Yakov. And we'll see you all in a bot. Bye.